to the Fit and Fabulous podcast with Dr. Jamie Seaman. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Fit and Fabulous podcast. It's Dr. Jamie, and I'm super excited to be back for this episode. Thank you to everybody that downloaded episode 1 and episode 2 on Apple Podcasts and left us a review. You guys know how much we appreciate your feedback, and we really value it. And every time you do that, it helps us grow on this platform. So thank you guys so much. I'm super pumped because today we're honoring Nebraska and the Cornhuskers. You guys know that I'm a former collegiate athlete at Nebraska, played for the Cornhuskers from 2003 to 2007 as a softball player. And my guest on today's podcast is pretty famous here in Nebraska, if I say so myself, and his name is Eric Crouch. So Eric, thanks for coming today. And I know Husker Nation is super excited to hear from you.
Well, it's an exciting day for Nebraska, that's for sure. Thank you for having me on your podcast. I'm glad to be here.
Awesome. So for those of you that don't know Eric, you must be living under a rock, but Eric played college football for our University of Nebraska. In 2001, he won the Heisman Trophy, which of course is given annually to the most outstanding collegiate football player in the United States. So that is a huge accomplishment. He's just one of a handful of people who have won that award at Nebraska. He also won the Davey O'Brien National Quarterback Award, which is given to the best collegiate quarterback in the U.S. During his time at Nebraska with his option offense, he completed 105 of 189 passes for 1,510 yards and 7 touchdowns, while rushing for 1,115 yards and 18 touchdowns. Crouch was the USA Today Nebraska Player of the Year, a Parade All-American athlete at Millard North High School, which is right around the corner from where I live. And he was also a 2-time All-State selection at quarterback at Millard North. He is a well-known guy in the media world of sports and currently lives in Elkhorn, where I live. Our kids go to the same school system, and he owns his own company, Crouch Recreation, in Omaha. So Eric, what is going on in your life since you did all those amazing things at Nebraska? What's new?
There's a lot going on. We've got a recreational equipment business, so we are selling playgrounds and scoreboards and splash pads and bleachers, and we work in the Midwest, pretty much Nebraska, South Dakota, Iowa. And we enjoy it. We work with city parks and school districts. We help them with their athletic projects and community projects that they're, working on to make their, communities a better place for their families and community members.
That's so cool. I think it's good because it's, a company that allows kids to be physically active, which is awesome. What was this last year like with COVID in the recreation market? I obviously know nothing about it.
Actually really good. We've continued to move along at a pretty good pace. Our numbers in terms of like sales numbers are better than last year. We thought at the beginning of the pandemic that things were going to come crashing down because they shut parks down and they shut schools down. And you're like, okay, we're going to be in this for, a long haul. But, things bounced back pretty quick and we're pretty fortunate. So things are great. Manufacturing's a little tough. Right now, lead times are tough on all things manufacturing.
Right.
So ours is no different. Finding, great people in your factories and materials are just a challenge right now.
Yeah, I can totally imagine. I think we're in the midst of building a new business, and COVID's affected, medicine in ways like we have supply shortages, like we couldn't find scalpels, and then we couldn't find like the straps that pregnant people wear, and just like really, really odd things that you can't get a hold of. So I'm sure that has affected almost everybody that's listening in whatever, market.
Make sure not to buy any of those anytime soon.
Well, let's see. I don't know. I might be in interest for recreation equipment. We'll see. So a big day in Nebraska land. We just had a huge new hire at the University of Nebraska today, just earlier today. Chancellor Ronnie Green announced the hire of Trev Alberts as our new athletic director at the University of Nebraska. And he's the 14th athletic director in program history. Eric and I, in our careers, since we've left Nebraska, we've seen a huge turnover in coaching and in athletic directors. And I think this is a great hire for him to come back to his alma mater. He's been working for the last 12 years at the University of Nebraska, Omaha, successfully transitioning them into Division I, athletics, which is amazing. He's also a member of the College Football Hall of Fame. He has a bio very similar to Eric's. He's certainly well decorated. So tell me, do you know Trev personally? What are your thoughts about this hire? Is it good for Nebraska?
Oh, it's wonderful. I mean, I've known Trev for a long time. He did we connected because of the football thing, obviously, both playing at the university, and then we went in to broadcasting career. So we had, some conversations based on broadcasting. He worked for ESPN and I worked for a couple different networks, and we just connected that way. And then when he got the job at UNO, being in Omaha, so we got to see each other quite a bit. For me, Trev is a perfect hire. I mean, he's done great things at UNO. He understands Nebraska. He, demands success. He's had to make some hard decisions at UNO. And I think that he's going to represent our program, our athletic program, and our state well in regards to his leadership abilities, to unify people, and he's competitive. And so I don't think he's going to see the whole picture, I think, pretty quickly, and he's going to be able to get us on the right track.
Yeah. Yeah. I value your opinion because you're still coaching, right? You're
no, I'm not coaching any longer.
No.
I was at Midland, but
Yeah.
The hours a college coach puts in and then running our business was just too much. It was, we still, Carson at home and all that. I couldn't be gone and doing that to myself. It was painful for my wife as well, just being gone all the time. So, you can't put that type of stress on your family. So, I mean, I loved it. It was great. I had a great time coaching. It was a great experience for me, and I love football. So, that part of it was easy.
Yeah, I totally respect that. It's hard to step away from the game, which, you look at Nebraska, we've got Scott Frost back. We've got Trev Alberts down there. It's cool to have, homegrown people that have played in the program. There's been such a huge, obviously I played softball, so I don't know as much about the football program. My dad played at Nebraska in the 70-71 national championship. So I'm, a born and raised Cornhusker and was super proud to wear the, name on my chest. For those of you that can't see on Apple Podcasts, I got my softball jersey on. I put it on for Eric, and right next to him, I've got one of my Lifter of the Year trophies. Did you ever win one of these, Eric?
No, I never did. This
oh my gosh.
Pretty impressive.
You guys, we're going to have to take just a short break here to recognize the fact that I was not a one-time, but two-time Lifter of the Year at Nebraska.
Congratulations.
And I have a stack of papers in front of me with accolades that Eric won.
Cool.
Yeah.
This is nice.
People always ask if it's a gold cast of me, and it certainly is not. I think the trophy looks the same from year to year, but I
should put both of them up there.
They sit behind me in my office. And so when people see me do Zooms, they're sitting one behind each shoulder. So I always think it's like a super flex when I'm in a meeting to have, what do you do with them? They're so giant and obnoxious. I guess I could put them on the mantle, but
you should be proud of that.
We have a TV up there. Yeah, I'm super proud of it. And, part of the Fit and Fabulous platform for me, I have 3 daughters and they're 6, 8, and 10. And I think being a female athlete, we're subjected to so many different pressures than male athletes are subjected to. It's not super sexy to be an athlete and to be, have muscles and to lift heavy weights. So part of what I do in my messaging is, I want my 3 girls to think they can just be the biggest badass, whatever they want to be in the world. And I think that taking care of your body, including lifting weights and being physically active is part of being successful in life, because if we don't have our physical and mental health, what do we have? We have nothing. So I think it's just such an important thing. So let's dial the clock back. You went to Millard North. What was the process like getting to Nebraska? Tell us kind of what that felt like as a high school athlete.
I guess, looking back on it, I was just extremely intense, with my training. I tried telling my kids hey, look, we worked out twice a day in high school. And they're like, well, no, 2-a-day starts in August. I'm like, no, we just had this conversation with my son. I'm like, no, we started our summers and we had a 7:00 workout. We left at 11. We came back at 3 to 5, 4 or 5 days a week. We did that. That was before our 3-a-day practice started, just lived, breathed everything football. It was kind of my life, my dream to just be in that position. It was just so much fun. So, I did it. I enjoyed it. Every day I enjoyed it. I loved training. That was probably the funnest thing for me because, there was no pressure to win, but you could really push yourself. And I think, you learn a lot about yourself that way and practice and getting prepared for the game. So for me, I like you said before, believing in yourself, a lot of that comes with your daily routine, not just the game, what happens in the game.
The habits that you have every single day.
So for me, I had a lot of confidence in myself in terms of, how I would perform and knowing that I was outworking the competition. and it helped me on game day.
Yeah. Did you play other sports in high school?
I ran track.
Yeah. So
Yep.
track and football.
Yep.
What do you think about, I have, my kids are younger than yours, but I feel like there's this pressure. And this is, of course, one of the things I want to talk about today is parenting youth athletes, because I think, being a collegiate athlete, we have these, kind of beliefs and expectations of like how the world was when we were an athlete. And I grew up in a household, my dad, was this college football player, played professionally for a little while. And there was this immense amount of pressure, from my father to excel. And every single day I'd be in the kitchen and he said, every single day you either get better or you get worse. And oh my gosh, it was like beaten into my head. Yeah.
What am I going to do today?
Do you think that, I think there's such a pressure for kids to specialize at a young age. My daughter is going into 4th grade and we're already like having to sign up for select sports, and the number of practices and games. And I mean, I'm with you. I think they should like be active, but I think it's hard for them to play multiple sports with the pressure at such a young age. Like, what are your thoughts about that? Is it good for athletes? Like, should they specialize early?
I really believe that, well, I'll give you an example. My son, my daughter, they were, doing summer basketball and summer volleyball. And I just got to they were doing summer basketball and summer, volleyball. And there was so much going on. And I just got to a point where I'm like, I think you need to enjoy the summers. I look back on my summers, we had sports that fell in seasons. So I enjoyed that, switching gears and going to, okay, well, I'm going to go lift weights because I didn't play basketball. I'm going to lift weights in the winter, and then I'm going to run track in the fall or in the spring,
right?
And do football in the fall. And, and I was a 2-sport athlete. There's 3-sport athletes, and that's great. That's even better, right? I mean, but I do believe that it trains, you're still being competitive. I think it trains other muscles. And then you actually, you get to experience something that maybe you didn't know before. Like, hey, I really like this sport, or I'm really good at it, or man, it's nice to get a break from, track. I kind of miss football, so you don't get so burned out. Cause I see a lot of kids get burned out and they're not even playing high school sports. And that's kind of the scary thing is how do you burn a kid out that's 10 to 14 years old and they don't even want to play sports when they get to high school? And so I think that's my problem with, 85 baseball games in a summer and, all year round basketball. But I get why it happens because the pressures are so intense and, it's so competitive now that it's just different. The landscape's different. It's almost like if you don't do it, you're not giving your kid that opportunity to maybe get that scholarship or be the starter, things like that. So there is a fine balance there. I'm kind of of the belief that, look, if my kid's going to start or if, he's going to get opportunities because of what he did and how, passionate he is about playing and how hard he works. So, and I encourage him to play other sports. That's what I believe. Yeah.
I know it's like every kid has this dream of being like an NFL player, an NBA player, but the truth is the vast majority are not. I think, being a multi-sport athlete is super advantageous for a lot of the reasons that you discussed. Cross-training, I think, is super important too. It reduces injury rates. I think it makes, just more well-rounded athletes. I think the pressure, when I talk about my girls being younger is I played in Class B. So for those of you who don't know, in Nebraska, we have like D1, D2. That's like the smallest schools, C1, C2, which my husband went to. So he had 26 people in his graduating class, right? So you could do all the things. Right. And like you were like the point guard on the basketball team and the quarterback on the football team, just if you were, athletically inclined. And then I was Class B, so 167. How many did you have at Millard North? Do you remember like a ballpark?
It was close to 800. I mean,
close to 800.
750, somewhere in there.
So that's like a huge school. So the school district we're in now, Elkhorn South, huge graduating classes, kind of the same, numbers that you were at Millard North. And my girls, I'm making them try lots of different things and kind of figure out where their interest lies and, what they, I want them to have fun. But I'm feeling this crazy pressure because when I was in high school, I was a 3-sport athlete. I played softball in the fall, basketball in the winter, ran track, and then eventually did tennis because I was having, some injuries and issues. But I'm kind of thinking to myself, the number of kids that might go out for the team, I mean, they might not even make like the varsity team. I mean, that's like a huge thing. Like they might get to high school and not make the team just based on sheer, volume and numbers. So that's, kind of scary to me. But Youth sports, I think, are so valuable, and they teach a lot of life lessons. And athletes are always a good hire in your business because they understand work ethic and time management. And there's just so many parallels. My dad, one other good thing he taught me is like sports are like a microcosm of life. Just having a coach and having teammates, and it's
so true.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. I think
You can relate it to everything. I mean, really everything.
Right. And Nebraska was such a great school to go to because they produced so many academic All-Americans, and they really put that emphasis on academics because, like I said, everybody's dream is to be a professional athlete, and that's just not going to happen for, the vast majority of people. Okay, so tell us about your time at Nebraska. You show up on day one.
Yep.
What's the experience like down there?
Well, obviously, showing up as a freshman, you're kind of like, wow, there's a lot of work for me to do to get to
Was
that
it your
point.
dream to stay at Nebraska? I mean, was that kind of like the top of your list when you're getting recruited, or?
I should say, I grew up a Nebraska fan. I wasn't like crazy, like had to go to Nebraska. I loved football. I actually grew up. All my youth sports games were on Saturdays, so I never really got to watch a whole lot of Nebraska games because my games were always being played, like the league I was in. And so my day to watch football was on Sunday. So I became a big, Broncos fan watching NFL football. So, and that's kind of what sparked me to always want to, my dream to play in the NFL. And, I had John Elway as an idol of mine. I mean, really all the quarterbacks in the NFL at that time were my idols. Like I've got stacks and stacks of football cards of, all their rookie cards and collected all of them. I've got a quarterback book. I mean, a big book of just quarterback cards that I collected. And so for me, it really dates back to, just how I grew up and, and getting to Nebraska and being able to live that dream of being a quarterback still, because some schools thought that I wouldn't be a quarterback, so I struggled a little bit with really my only option was going to Nebraska as a quarterback because, well, Notre Dame wanted to, they offered me a scholarship. Ohio State offered me a scholarship as kind of like that athlete tag. Well, hey, we don't know
where you're going to play, but
and I'm just,
we're going to give you this
money. That's for me. And so then when I committed to Nebraska, like, oh yeah, we wanted you as a quarterback. And I'm like, no, that's not what you said, but now they want to say that. But anyway, it was the right place for me. I mean, it's home. I'm so happy that it worked out for me at Nebraska, but I had a great time. I mean, my career, I played a lot of football games. I got in very early in my career. As a freshman, I played in 11 games. As a redshirt freshman, I played in 11 games. Started 8 of those 11 games. And so when I graduated, I had over 40-some games under my belt as a quarterback in college, which is a lot. Mm-hmm. And but I loved every minute of it. We practiced hard and we had fun, and we won a lot of football games, and the memories are great. So great coaches, awesome players, good support cast around me. I mean, I ended up with a lot of personal, accolades, but really all those are, I can say that all of them were because I had great coaches and players. I mean, football is it's not a me sport or an I sport. I mean, I think the best team sport in the world.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm sure you heard about Coach Solich today stepping down and retiring from coaching.
Yep.
So you were at Nebraska, right before I think this pivotal time in Nebraska football, and we had these big coaching changes. I think, were you a grad assistant remind me of the timing when Callahan came in?
No, so I wasn't a grad assistant, but he came in, I believe in 2003. So Frank's last season, 2002, 2003. I think he did 2 seasons after I left. So the 2002 and 2003 season. Yeah. So Callahan came at the end.
I feel like when you look at, that we were such a storied school and, pride in traditions and our walk-on program. And I feel like when you look statistically, it was like the downfall of Nebraska football, really stirring the pot and bringing in this NFL coach. And, then everybody knows our story. Then it was Bo Pelini, then this, and now we've got Scott Frost back in the game. But even for Scott, things haven't been, the way he's wanted. And we've had, high expectations and lots of shortfalls. And of course the fan base is getting, frustrated by that. What are your thoughts about the past 10 to 15 years of Nebraska football? Where do we go from here?
Yeah. I'm sad for the players actually, because, the experience that I had, like many others that went to Nebraska, was associated with success and winning. And I think that obviously that's more fun than losing if you're a competitor. And so I felt bad for the players that, they come out of there and, they had losing seasons or, for whatever reasons it just didn't go well. And there's a lot of turmoil and turnover. And I talked to a lot of players that have had some of them, I think, had three or four position coaches or 3 or 4 head coaches. You're kind of like, man, that would be tough, So you just look at how hard it was for them just to kind of get through, and the stability that I had when I was there. There was no coaching changes. When Osborne left, it was only him. It was just a shift from Solich down. And so everything stayed intact, and that was really nice. So it's really the players that I felt bad for, that didn't really have that great experience that, you would want to be able to share with them as alumni or former teammates. Yeah.
You have a prediction for this season? How are we going to do?
I think we've got a tough schedule. I'm hoping that 6+ wins so we can get in that bowl game. I think that'd be a nice step. We've got to win early and kind of set the tone. The last couple of years, there's been things that have just happened that just haven't started the season off very well. And I think that, starting fast and strong will have a big impact and going into that Big Ten schedule.
Yeah.
It is a tough schedule this year, but the Big Ten is, there's a few teams that seem to rise above right now every year, but besides that, I think it's, it's really anybody's game. So it's a tough competitive conference, and I really feel like anybody can kind of beat anybody any day. It's kind of been the conference I've been watching, like weird, like, you would expect this team to beat this team bad, and then you're like, wow. So just by observing it for the last however many years that we've been in this conference now, it's been interesting to watch and learn about the other schools and programs. So that's been fun for me.
Yeah. Watching that transition of going from the Big 12 into the Big 10, like, what are your thoughts about that? Was that a good move? It's funny. It kind of happened during all these like coaching turmoils. And so it's like hard to pinpoint, like maybe.
I think overall it's probably a really good move. It's a good conference, and what was happening in the Big 12, with other teams leaving and inconsistencies. And I think that there was, some talk about the Longhorn Network kind of taking over and all this stuff. And I don't know what was true or not with that
Horns
stuff.
Down. There's no love for Texas around here. Sorry.
But I think it's a good move. And really, I like the competitiveness of the Big Ten. I do.
I think there's business decisions too along the way, just the, financial impact of Big Ten Network and those types of things. And for, the people watching on YouTube, we got this sign back here, which was the NCAA 300 consecutive sellout for Nebraska. And, we're kind of like talking about the woes of Nebraska football and things like that, but it's an amazing school, and our volleyball team has continued to produce, and, all these other, we have national championship bowling teams and men's gymnastics and rifle and all these other amazing sports. And so it really, year in and year out, is an incredible school. And our football team, despite our win-loss record over the last 10 years, has maintained their sellout records. For those of you who have never experienced Memorial Stadium on game day, it's an absolutely incredible vibe. Our family goes down there and tailgates. We're super excited for this next season. My dad, of course, being a former athlete, is super excited about our upcoming matches versus Oklahoma. Right. And the anniversary of one of the biggest games in college football history. And he played in that game, and it's fun to watch the highlight reels. But Nebraska's still an amazing school. So tell me about, it's been years now since you trained there. How does Eric Crouch eat and train in 2021? Like,
Can
do
we
you
go
just
to
like
2001 real fast? No.
I feel like, you like train and you have nutritionists and these strength coaches, and then like you leave, and then it's like, now what?
Well, I think a lot of it has to do with just being pushed hard. When you have, a trainer and other players around you, that team thing can make you do things that you didn't think you could do. And it's even harder, by yourself. So, for me, if I can get in a few workouts, we take dogs for runs, we, try to stay active and lift weights and do some different things. And, we eat, better most days than we don't. So I think just a nice balance of, making good decisions of it's still your body, even though you're done playing sports, it's still your body to take care of. And I think that makes you can know your body, you put something in it, whatever it may be. It could be a certain type of food, and you know how you react. And so I think for people, I think the most important thing is to know yourself and what your body tells you shouldn't have and how much of it. And so you just got to listen.
Be your own expert.
Yeah. You kind of have to be your own expert, because everybody is, handles things differently.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So for me, my story, because I don't know if Eric really knows it, but I go to Nebraska, we got these nutritionists. I was actually getting a nutrition and exercise science degree at the time. And then I leave, and then I'm in medical school, and now I'm immediately sedentary, sitting in the library, taking tests on Saturdays. And fast forward back to 2015, I ended up being diagnosed with prediabetes, had low thyroid function. I was super unhealthy because I got away for so many years being a 3-sport athlete and just eating really like whatever I wanted. And so then all of a sudden here I am as an adult and having to like parent myself. So you're exactly right. Like, it's easy when you have people telling you how to train. And I think that's something that a lot of athletes struggle with coming out of college,
or
is
food's
like
cooked for you all the time.
Oh yeah. I mean, if you eat at the training table and like you don't even know how to cook, when you leave. And so I think it's an interesting experience for, NCAA athletes across the world when they're transitioning, into the work world, and, how they eat and how they train. So Ben and I, these days, we eat pretty low carb and feel amazing, but we eat kind of almost like the carnivore diet. I don't know if you've ever heard of it. I know Zach Duvall and some of the coaches at Nebraska kind of eat this way too. Have you ever tried it before?
I don't believe so. So is it similar to paleo?
So paleo, you get to eat like whole food carbs, like apples, but you don't eat dairy or cheese, which I think is such a travesty because I really like cheese. So, and then ketogenic is eliminating basically like all carbs, and then carnivore is eliminating all plants. So basically you eat like meat and eggs and only nutrient dense animal food. So I'll convince you to try it for like 10 days. Yeah. Maybe. So basically like no carbs, but it's all protein and all fat. Yeah. It's super manly diet because, you just eat steak and eggs all day.
I kind of like veggies. I think I'm going to miss that.
Okay. All right.
I'll try it.
We settled on kind of what I call this carnivore-ish lifestyle. So we eat a ton of like, beef and chicken and shrimp and salmon. And I just like a little crunch here or there, a few veggies or whatnot. Once again, be your own expert, like whatever your body can tolerate. So okay, so back to, NCAA. So you have a daughter that's in college, correct?
Correct, yeah.
Runs track at Nebraska. And then your son is going to be a senior
in
high school?
Carson. He's going to be a senior up at Elkhorn South. Lexi is a graphic design major. She's not running track.
Okay, okay.
That would have been fun. She ran track in high school, though.
Got it. I knew she was a good
track
athlete.
Her to run track in college. Yeah. And I think she misses it, too. So, so both kids in sports,
Yeah. So you are experiencing, the college age, level kids, and I'm sure Carson has aspirations of.
Yeah, he wants to play.
Of playing in college. So one thing that NCAA athletes now are dealing with, and these coaches, there's been, Eric and I get to say like back when I played, is this new thing called
there.
I know,
we're right there.
Eric's a little older than me, so but the NCAA transfer portal. So back in the day when you played, Eric, let's say you were mad and you didn't like playing at Nebraska. When you wanted to leave, there was like this huge process. Like the coach had to give you like permission to leave. And then if you got rejected there, then you had to ask like, the next layer. But then like if you transferred to another school, you had to sit out a year, right? That's how it was back when, back when you played. So they had this new thing that started back in 2018 called the NCAA transfer portal. And basically it was created really as a compliance tool. So for those of you that don't know, there's this entire department at all colleges called the compliance department. And they basically are in charge of all the rules and regulations. And they want to make sure that you don't become ineligible as an athlete. So this transfer portal really was designed to help with, with compliance when athletes, wanted to leave. And so a student athlete, these days now will go to their compliance administrator and ask for their name to be placed in this transfer portal. And then the school has 2 business days to submit the information. So you guys hear like breaking news, so-and-so athlete has entered the transfer portal. I think they make it sound like it's this like super exotic thing, but really it's just, some technicalities, I think, in the computer. But
like free agency.
Yeah. But the downside of it is that if a student athlete enters the transfer portal, the school that they're going to can reduce or stop giving them their scholarship money. So their athletic aid can end at the term if the request was made to enter this portal. Like, was this a good thing, a bad thing, just a technicality?
Well, I see both sides. I think it could be a good thing for players that, aren't going to get the opportunity to play, because I think that at the end, it's like, if you're a competitor, you know that you can play or believe in yourself and you want to work hard enough and you want to play, you can play, and you can probably find a place. So I think in regards to the portal, that's a good thing. The unfortunate thing, I think the bad thing is, you enter the portal and it's not guaranteed you're going to get a scholarship or end up somewhere. So, there are some risks with entering that portal, and you may not have a scholarship after you enter it. So I think, that's tough. But, I also think that, I've heard people comment about, oh, what's so bad about, waiting your turn, or, working hard and earning the spot there. And I do believe that sometimes, you may recruit 4 quarterbacks that are all D1 starters. You're going to have a problem probably, and so
which
guys
is great
are going
for a coach.
Yeah, it's great for a
right?
coach. Like, hey, you did a great job recruiting, or you got a great program, or your, offense is rolling. That's awesome. But all those guys want to play. And so you probably have to kind of stagger your, recruiting that top guy, but then that's tough because you don't know, guy gets hurt, you got to have a guy ready. So, there's a lot of thought that goes into this for coaches when recruiting's there. And a lot of them now, I think it's the bad thing is it may be hurting high school recruiting. So, you've got this big portal and guys maybe have played for 1, 2, 3 years.
They jump ship.
We need a QB right now. And this guy's played 3 years already at the college level. Let's grab him and maybe not offer that kid that we're going to offer that scholarship to in high school. So I think it's hurting the high school recruits.
Yeah, I think there's definitely pros and cons to it. I tried to find some stats about the transfer portal and how many athletes really do this, because I know when Scott came in, Scott Frost came into Nebraska, it wasn't his guys when he came in, and we've seen a huge amount of guys leaving, entering the transfer portal. And, Scott kind of said, sometimes if there's termites in the wood, maybe it's not a bad thing all the time. Sometimes there's athletes that, it's just not a good fit. So I'm with you. There's pros and cons, but I looked up some stats in 2018, 2019. In that academic year, there was 302,000 Division I and Division II student athletes, and 15,000 of them had entered their names in the transfer portal. And of those 15,000, 10,000 were trying to transfer from a Division I school where portal use was required, and 5,000 were attempting to transfer actually down to a D2 school. So, there might be athletes that are like, oh, hey, look, I'm not going to get any playing time. I'd like to transfer down to a D2 school where I'm like the starting quarterback. And that's a good thing for that athlete, to have a more well-rounded collegiate experience. But of the 10,000 athletes that entered the portal, 25% were football players, and 50% of Division I football players in the portal were walk-ons. So these are people who are not even receiving financial aid, but they were likely seeking scholarships from other schools. So I think there's pros and cons. And at the end of the day, every athlete has to do, what's best for themselves. But as sexy as the transfer portal sounds, it really was just kind of like a compliance thing, because back in the day, they had to do things on paper. Like I get to say, back when I was in medical school and residency, we did paper charts. There was a lot of paperwork involved for athletes to transfer back then. Of course, they've streamlined it so much more to make that process easier. And of course, now it comes with, a few less penalties. So, all right. Okay. So the other big news in NCAA sports is this name, image, likeness. This new NCAA rule went all the way to the Supreme Court. So when Eric and I played, we couldn't profit off our name, image, and likeness. And these days, depending which state you live in, and it's rapidly changing fast, you can now profit. What are your thoughts about this? It's weird to imagine maybe what it would have been like, if they had it back when you played.
Well, I think the positives are that, look, we all wanted to have a little bit more cash in our pockets when we were in college. We couldn't really work. We couldn't really have as a college athlete, you really can't hold a job. You got 2 full-time jobs, right?
There's no time. There's no
when are you going to do
time.
this? How are you going to do it? You can't. And, the guys that were fortunate enough to have scholarships, pay for their education was awesome. And, you come out mostly debt-free, which is really cool and helpful. And this I'm not sure, totally where I stand. I support it, but I'm still unsure on how it's going to affect the experience in college. I did like the purity of, amateur sports, and I think we're still going to see that, but I do believe that we're going to experience some things like, it's going to not hurt recruiting, but recruiting.
It's going to change the recruiting game.
Yeah, because offers of, hey, if we do this, you'll get this. It's almost like now you got to have deals on the tables for guys coming in, so that they know, hey, when I get there, you got this deal for me.
Right.
So, you're going to be doing deals in high school for where you're going in college.
Yeah, I think it brings up a lot of like, legal, ethical, moral, I mean, whatever you want to call it. But, there's already all these NCAA rules about recruitment and not, as soon as you're, 7th or 8th grade, you can't just be like hanging around college. You're eligible for recruitment. And there's all these rules that are, made to protect athletes. And I'm with you. I think it really puts some strange things on the table. I had heard Nebraska had like a department, basically. Now you're kind of like assigned a social media manager. Is that have you heard this?
I haven't heard that.
Yeah. I mean, I think schools are starting to do that because it's like same thing. You say, oh, this huge athlete, I really want them here. Hey, listen, Joe Smith, when you come, we're going to assign you this person. They're going to help you really ramp up your social media presence. And that's how you can monetize. I do think that it adds kind of this, other layer of recruiting.
Branding is going to be like what schools, have relationships with what brands,
right?
And how players look at that. Do they like Nike coming out of high school and, hey, I got to go to a school that has a Nike gear?
But then like, where's the conflict of interest? Like Nebraska's an Adidas school, and let's say Nike or Under Armour comes after one of their athletes, like, what is the legal obligation? Like what if there's a conflict of interest in a brand that the athlete's trying to represent or support versus the university? I think there could
like
be
Adrian Martinez wearing Nike shoes during a game,
he's got like an Adidas jersey
sponsor.
on and Nike shoes. And like where do you draw the line? And I just, from a contractual basis, like who actually has a leg to stand on, as far as what an athlete could or could not represent. But it's interesting. So the NCAA basically announced a policy that athletes could get paid for the use of their name, image, and likeness. And there are a few states that have these NIL laws. And Nebraska, of course, was one of them that came to the table first. And now I think there's like close to 20 states. So like the first to the table were Alabama, Arizona, Florida, Georgia, Illinois, Kentucky, Missouri, and Nebraska. And I saw something I'm big on social media now. I think it would be interesting to think about back when I was a collegiate athlete. One of my other concerns is I know how much time my YouTube and my podcast and really just even managing my Instagram, I really don't have a lot of people that help me. I literally do it myself, and I have a full-time job as an OBGYN. I'm a mom of 3, and I know how much time it takes to do that. And I am concerned that when you start putting that sort of pressure on a collegiate student athlete, I mean, softball, we were a sport that missed the most days in the classroom of any sport, us in baseball, because you're constantly playing midweek games, much different than football where you might only play 11 games on a Saturday, right? And you're not missing, that much class. It's hard as a student athlete when you're missing that much school to maintain good grades. And that's my concern, I think, is that, it's really going to take away focus and attention from this young, naive 18-year-old who is trying to train at a level they never trained at and trying to maintain their grades. I mean, that's one of my biggest concerns.
Yeah. I mean, I'm trying to think how I would feel if a player on the team was making $1 million and I was working, you feel like, hey,
jealousy
I'm working
issues.
just as hard as, it's like, great, they got the deal. Awesome. But is that going to create something in the locker room that can,
interesting.
tear, the simplest things can tear the locker room apart. So it'll be interesting to see how those players handle that. Look, I mean, you grow up a little bit now too, because you do have to, I was just talking about this today, got asked before we jumped on this podcast, but like, is it going to make them work harder because they know if they work harder, then maybe they can be that guy that gets that contract? Is this what they needed to like motivate them? It's a different time, a different type of motivation. I mean, name, image, likeness is bigger than it's ever been before, obviously with the cell phone, and your name, image, likeness on your social media is a brand. It's your brand, and people are already kind of creating that. And so I don't think it's a big deal to them as much as it is probably to us who never had that or never grew up with, branding ourselves to the public.
Right.
So it's hard for us to understand.
Yeah, it makes me think too about the recruiting process. When I was trying to be recruited as a collegiate softball player, my mom literally compiled these VHS tapes of my practices and games. Literally, I'll never forget that. She went and made 50 copies of this VHS and stuck it in a manila envelope with a letter, that I wrote to the coaches and signed. I mean, that's how recruiting was done back, when we played. And these days, you're right. This is like social media is their jam. Like that's what they do. And that's honestly probably how they get, seen by, I'm sure each recruiting department at these colleges is kind of like looking at the social media because it is a great way to kind of brand yourself before you even get there. But of course, there's a flip to every coin, and athletes have to be super careful about what they put on their social media because every coach is looking at it. And, if you put things on there that aren't going to represent the school well, that could definitely hurt your recruiting too. So I don't know. It's going to be super interesting to see, how this plays out. And I saw on Instagram the other day, I don't know if you follow Barstool Sports, like they're a big social media account in the athlete world, but they were signing athletes. This girl, I don't remember where she was playing, but she reached out to them and she's like, will you be my social media agent? And they were like, sure, we don't even know what that is, but we're going to sign you. So then there was this huge, over 24 hours, they had signed 11 different athletes across all sports, men and women, to kind of be their social media agent. And so it's interesting that athletes might use certain platforms that have millions of followers to kind of boost that. Yeah. And God, it's just going to be so interesting to see how this plays out. I'll just sit back and with my popcorn and watch. I think.
I wonder if it's, if it's about followers and because that equals money. Mm-hmm. You may not even have to be a starter as long as you've got some followers. Maybe you do something special. Like
maybe you're just making cool locker room videos.
Yeah, maybe you're the guy that makes fun locker room videos and has cool dances, but you don't play, but your following is so big that, now you can make some money.
Yeah. I think coaches are going to have to institute rules, about with social media,
stupid videos is going to hurt everybody.
You got to be careful. Well, and just like I said, the distraction factor, the distraction factor of they're getting ready for warmups before a game and they're trying to make a, 20-second shot or something. And it can be very, very distracting. And I think it could affect, the relationships on the team, like you said, and like you had mentioned earlier. So, all right, well, super cool stuff and kind of fun to talk about. Okay, so Eric doesn't know this, but at the end of all of my... I told you guys on Facebook that I had a surprise for Eric and he had no idea what it was. So at the end of all of my podcasts...
You're making me nervous.
At the end of all of my podcasts, I do something called the semen analysis because my last name is Seaman and we have to be able to laugh and make fun of ourselves. But so I'm an OBGYN and Eric's mom actually works at my office. She's an ultrasonographer in my office. And so she, scans the patient with ultrasound and looks at the babies and she looks at the ovaries and the uterus. And she's just a phenomenal human being, which I know because it's like the apple and tree. Eric's phenomenal and the apple never falls far from the tree. So your mom and I have been scheming all week after I asked if Eric would come on my podcast. And as part of the semen analysis, we are going to play a game called How Well Does Eric Know His Mom? Okay, so what I did was I gave your mom a quiz. I gave her 10 questions that I wanted her to answer. And I told her I was going to ask you, and we're going to see how many out of 10 that you can get right about your mom. So are you excited?
I'm ready.
Is she going to not invite you to the Christmas table if you get these wrong?
Probably not.
All right. Okay.
Maybe.
I know she's super proud of all of her kids. So, okay. First one. Does your mom choose chocolate or vanilla?
Vanilla.
Okay. 1 for 1. 1 for 1, you guys. She absolutely said vanilla. Are you chocolate or vanilla?
Just in general?
Yeah, like ice cream cone. Chocolate? No twist cone. Chocolate?
I like twist. I like vanilla, but with chocolate on it.
Oh, okay.
I'm like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Sunday.
I can see that.
Vanilla ice cream with lots of chocolate.
Okay. Yeah, I'm vanilla. I'm not a huge chocolate fan. I don't know.
That's too bad. That's your loss.
I would choose
more for me.
Strawberry cheesecake over piece of chocolate cake or something like that. So
no, thanks.
Okay, you can have my chocolate. Okay. This is a great one. Do you know what zodiac sign your mom is?
Zodiac sign.
Yeah. You know what zodiac signs are, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's Scorpio.
She's a Sagittarius.
Dang it.
Yeah. Do you know yours?
The zodiac sign is not your.
It's
Am I
like,
saying wrong?
so zodiac sign is like, God, I don't even know how to describe it. I'm just a vagina doctor. I'm a Capricorn. So it's like, it depends on your birth date. So if you were born between like this date and this date, you're like a Leo and then a Capricorn, Sagittarius. So your mom's a Sagittarius.
Okay.
So, and there's a lot of people that believe that
This is what one of
people
her
born
questions.
like at certain times of the year. No, I think I came up with it.
Okay.
I think
Okay.
Is this her vibe?
I get a start.
Like,
asterisk,
is she into
asterisk,
this?
Yeah, asterisk on this one.
Does she read the like daily horoscope? I mean, I think that's what it is,
No,
right?
yeah, I think it is.
Like it's
So
very
I'm-
much correlated with
I
horoscopes.
don't know anything about that.
Okay, all right.
I can't even spell that
Well,
horoscope.
now if anybody ever asks, your mom is a Sagittarius. Okay, how much did Eric weigh at birth? Do you know your birth weight? How much you weighed?
Jeez.
I deliver babies.
7, 12.
8 pounds, 6
What?
ounces. That's a good sized baby.
A fatty.
That's a good sized baby, but healthy. Big babies are healthy babies usually. So that's probably why you became a Heisman Trophy winner.
Gosh,
8 pounds, 6
8-pounders?
ounces.
I didn't
Your poor
realize
mother.
that. Yeah.
You know, I think we should start this new trend. I was telling someone the other day, on your birthday, I think you should throw a party for your mom. That's my thoughts. Like, why do people bring you presents
Like after
when you're
you
born?
turn 21 or 18, something like that.
Like
Turn
you
18
work
now.
so
Okay, now.
hard. Like, okay, so all right, maybe it's because I'm a mom and my girls were big. So my girls were 8'2", 8'15", and 8'13". So bless your mom's heart. I don't know how big your siblings were, but 8 pounds, 6 ounces is a good sized baby. Okay, all right, you're 1 for 3, just in case anybody's keeping score and listening. Okay, what is your mom's worst fear?
Heights.
Okay, interesting. I'll give you like half credit. So she said accidental death.
Oh.
Like getting hit by a car or
She's
falling off a
nervous.
cliff.
She's
I don't know.
afraid of dying every which way you can imagine.
So just death in general.
Yeah, death in general.
Okay, all right. We'll give you half credit. But
Okay,
yeah,
good. Thanks.
she was like giving me
I'm
examples.
glad you're giving me half credits.
I
on these.
summarized it as accidental death because she had too many examples.
I'm
so-
sure she did.
Okay. All right. Okay, so Eric, you're gonna take your mom out to dinner on Friday night. You're gonna go to the pizza joint. What toppings does your mom like on her pizza?
Let's go cheese, mushrooms, olives, onions.
Oh, she said black olive and
Yeah.
mushroom. So I'm gonna give that one to you.
Okay,
Black.
good.
What is your favorite pizza topping?
Mine, pepperoni.
Pepperoni.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I'm like a hamburger mushroom.
Yeah, just
kind
add
of
it up.
vibe.
Like all the meats
Yeah,
you can imagine,
meats.
throw it on there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
carnivore pizza. Yeah. We actually make, my husband and I, since we transitioned to this super meaty lifestyle, I actually make a pizza that has a crust made out of chicken. It's literally like chicken, egg, and cheese. And then we put like, Philly cheesesteak or taco toppings, or it's super fun if anybody's
Nice.
interested in a super
I'll get the recipe.
super high protein. Yeah, I'll make it for you, but we'll put black olives and mushrooms on your mom's regular pizza. Okay, if your mom could leave tomorrow and fly anywhere in the world, where would she go?
My gosh.
I don't know if she's been to this place or it's obviously not Omaha, Nebraska.
Philippines?
Ireland.
Oh,
Ireland.
gosh.
She didn't say why. But
Oh,
Ireland.
it was either, okay.
Okay. So, in case the kids are looking for something to gift your mom sometime in her lifetime,
These are some stumpers.
the woman wants to go to Ireland.
Okay.
Okay. Where would you go if you could leave tomorrow and go anywhere?
I kind of want to go to Japan somewhere.
Yeah. Have you been there before? No, never been.
Please.
Yeah, I don't like long flights. Like about 3 hours on an airplane, and I've hit my max.
Australia would be fun.
Yeah. I've
That's a long
always
flight,
New
though.
Zealand. I've always
Yeah.
kind of had like New Zealand, but I'd love to go to the Maldives, which is like these tiny little islands off the coast of India, like
Mhm.
south of it. But I checked and the flight's 17 hours. So I feel like somebody would have to drug me or intoxicate me, or I'm not really sure. But I like tropical. I don't really like being a tourist, like planes and trains and you're
Yeah.
rushing around, because that's how my
Get
normal
to a
life
beach
is.
and relax.
Yeah. So that's my jam. Yeah. Lay on a beach, a little drink with an umbrella in it or something like that.
Don't do a thing. Yep.
Okay. All right. How many years has your mom been an ultrasound tech? It's a
Wow.
hard one. I mean,
Wow.
I'm sure you
Wow.
can
I'll go.
ballpark it, but,
Tech. Let's see here.
and
Let's
I'd
do
like to
some-
know when you think she's
do
going to
some
retire,
math.
because I don't
Okay,
want
huh?
her to, and I'm going to talk her out of it.
Jeez. Let's just say, let's go with 32.
Oh my gosh. 32 years. Exactly. 32 years. She said, wow, when she had to answer that question. 32 years. You're really good at math. That's awesome. 32 years she's been in ultrasound tech, which is super cool because I think these days people like jump around so much in careers and career paths, and it's hard to find
stuck with it.
It's hard to find people that are really loyal, and she's incredible, you guys. She's really good at what she does. Okay, what is your mom's favorite holiday? Aren't these great questions? By the way, I'm pretty sure
Christmas.
I came up with most of them. Yeah, she specifically said Christmas Eve. So not to be confused with Christmas Day. She said Christmas Eve.
Oh, Christmas Eve.
Do you guys celebrate like on Christmas Eve? Is that kind of more of a family tradition?
Yes.
Same with us. I think it's so interesting. Around Christmas time every year.
It feels more special because Santa's still coming. So
Right.
you got this like build up.
More anticipation.
Yeah.
But we like opened presents on Christmas Eve, and then we weren't like a huge like the next day it was kind of like anticlimactic. It was like there was little things in the stocking, but yeah, I'm with your mom.
That's cool.
Christmas Eve and like, you know, the church service and you get to light candles. It's definitely one of my favorite holidays. Okay, if you couldn't pick Christmas or Thanksgiving, because those are like probably the two major holidays, or New Year's Eve, what's your favorite minor holiday? Do you have one? Like Valentine's, St. Patrick's Day, 4th of July.
Let's see. For me personally, I like the 4th of July.
Yeah. I think 4th of July is
summer
super fun. Yeah.
Fireworks. I'm kind of
blowing things up.
I like
having
fires.
some good food, hanging out with. Yeah.
Yep.
I don't know. I found out I'm part Irish. I did this like ancestral thing, but I've never really celebrated St. Patrick's
You
Day.
and my mom can go to Ireland.
Perfect. Susan, you heard him. I'll pay. Okay. So, you got Christmas, right? We're going to give you credit for that. So let's see. Let's rack up this score. We've only missed 2 so far. This is pretty good. I mean, this is promising. We're at 8 questions and you've gotten, oh no, you missed 3. Okay. 5 out of 8. 5 out of 8.
Okay. We got
people get paid a lot of money to bat 500 in the majors, right? 500 batting average. I think you're doing good.
Let's get there.
Okay. What was your mom's favorite game that you played in as a college athlete at Nebraska? If you could think of one game where it was the most memorable game. Oh my gosh, she remembers that game. What was her favorite game that you played in?
Gosh, that one's going to be
Okay, I'll give you a clue. It was an away game. It was not at Memorial Stadium. It was an away game.
There's 2 of them that come to my mind, but I don't. Let's see. Can I phone a friend? I need a lifeline here.
You're gonna call her?
Some sort. Yeah. Hey, call my mom. Let's say this. 2000. Am I already wrong?
I'm not sure what year this was.
Oh, okay, so it's just the game.
It was just the team you played.
Notre Dame.
Notre Dame. Yeah, she said it was an away game.
Yeah.
She didn't say why she loved it, but you got it. What was the other one? Now I'm interested.
Cal Berkeley when I was a freshman.
Okay.
She's got some buddies out in California that was hanging with, so it was a fun trip out to Northern California.
Did your mom make it to like almost every game, like when they traveled around?
Yep.
Yeah. Nebraska fans travel super well, and that's super cool. Yeah. Okay, this one's pretty easy because it's really 50-50. It's more of a yes/no answer. I said, was it easy to raise Eric? Like, was he a good kid growing up? Yes or no? Yeah.
Yes.
She actually, her exact words were he was
I wasn't as good as she probably thought I was.
Super easy child. So I know you make her really proud. Okay, so let's tally that up. I think you only missed 3. That's a 70%. I mean, C's get degrees, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. I hope she's proud of me.
She is so proud of you. She's proud of all of her children, and she talks about your siblings too. And she's just an amazing woman. So huge shout out to Eric's mom, Susan, and I'll see you at work.
I need you to put a list together, and we'll give this test to my brother too.
Okay.
That's what we got to do.
Christmas Eve. It's going to be an absolute throwdown in the family celebration. So I bet you could beat him, but you're competitive. So I know you'd say you could beat him.
I'll try hard.
Yeah. I'm very competitive. I can't say no to anything. So I would love some sort of competition like that. Okay. Well, you guys, thank you. Thank you, Eric, so much for taking time out of your super busy schedule. I know you're crazy busy in life, and thanks for coming and talking to everybody. Thank you for listening to the Fit and Fabulous podcast. Just a reminder, please go find us on all your favorite podcasting platforms. Download this podcast on Apple Podcasts. Make sure you leave us a review. We super, super, super appreciate your feedback. And for all the people watching on YouTube, good to see you guys too. Thanks for listening. And we'd like to thank our corporate sponsor today for our Fit and Fabulous podcast episode. It is Vitamin IQ. So I want to talk about vitamins for just a minute. You all know I'm a huge advocate of a nutrient-dense diet, but sometimes we have nutrient gaps that need filled with a multivitamin, or in case of pregnancy, nutrient requirements that increase dramatically. And ensuring that you're getting the proper nutrients is so crucial to a healthy pregnancy, a healthy baby, and a healthy mom. As an OBGYN, I get asked on a daily basis what prenatal vitamins and multivitamins that I recommend to my patients, and my answer is Vitamin IQ. Vitamin IQ provides intelligent supplements by focusing on science-backed premium formulations using natural, bioavailable vitamins and essential chelated minerals your body needs for optimal health and wellness. They take a science-based approach with scientific substantiation as the foundation for every product they make. Their multivitamin is formulated to meet 100% of the daily nutrient needs per the FDA's latest guidelines and designed to support heart, brain, and digestive health. Whether it's published research, clinical experience, or new guidelines, they formulate based on science. All products are made in an FDA-registered facility, they're third-party lab tested, and they provide the most natural, bioavailable ingredients that they can environmentally and ethically source. I serve as Chief Medical Officer for Vitamin IQ, and I have helped develop their line, including an industry-leading prenatal, men's and women's multis, immune support, brain performance, and so much more. So go check out Vitamin IQ. You can find all their products at www.vitaminiq.com.